Hi everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning for me from California. Daniel Spatz interviews with a special guest this beautiful Sunday. We are going to be with Marco Panichi from Italy, fitness coach of Novak Djokovic and very successful trainer with many players. Daniela Hantukova, Philip Kohlschreiber, Fabio Fonini, Lina, many others he worked with. So, hi guys, hello everybody, ¿cómo están? English today. Vamos a estar en inglés hoy. So let's go with Marco Panichi, a wonderful interview. It's really an honor to have him in my show. So I'm very excited and I did my homework. So it's not easy always when you find. To me, it's a challenge. It's a true challenge. Hi everybody, hola, ¿cómo están? It's a true challenge to interview people with this, experience and caliber. And so let me see if Marco logged in. He hasn't logged in yet in the view. I already told him. So let's see if we can go soon or we have to wait a few minutes. So I'm very excited, very happy, and always bringing to you wonderful content with great guests, great people, great figures, mainly from tennis, but also from other venues. So it's really fun. For me, I love it. I'm not a journalist. I do this for fun. I'm not getting paid for that, so I love it. Saludos desde Lobos, saludos, hi everybody. Today is going to be English, vamos a hacer inglés con Marco Panichi. I'm waiting for him to connect. So he's in Italy, I'm in California. Here in California is 11:03, still morning. I'm coming from my tennis lessons. So I'm ready for the interview. Let me check again if Marco has logged. No, he hasn't yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit the live. Percy, ¿cómo estás? How are you doing, my friend? I'm waiting for Marco to connect to my live. So he hasn't done it yet. So today is going to be English, of course. I think Marco speaks Spanish, but I'm not sure about it. But I want to make sure the interview goes, for USA, Europe, English-speaking people. I think is respectful to them. Guatemala, how are you doing? ¿Cómo están? I'm just waiting for my guest. What I'm going to do, guys, Marcelito, how are you doing? ¿Cómo estás? What I'm going to do, guys, Arturo, abrazo, is to exit right now and connect to Marco to see what is going on, to see if he's going to be live soon, okay? Oh, he's here.
Yes.
Great human. Marco!
You can see me?
No, I can't
Let's
see
see.
you, my friend. I see something green.
Yes.
Now, maybe because
Yes,
the
here we are.
camera is pointing to the other side. There you go. Come
Good,
on,
good, good.
I'm doing some push-ups.
Never too late, always.
Hey, come on. I'm ready to thank you,
No,
Marco, for your time.
come
This
on,
is an
Daniel. That's
honor and a
my
great
honor. No,
privilege
I
to
mean,
have
I'm
you
very
on my
happy to
show.
be here with you. At the moment, I'm
Where
in
are you, my
Rome
friend, right now?
and
Exactly,
in
where are
Italy.
you?
But tomorrow we start again. So we are leaving tomorrow to go to Belgrade. And so we start the preparation for the next tournament. Yeah,
Wow, so Novak is waiting
yeah,
for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
I hope
Yeah,
I
I
remember
know,
when I was
I
a
know.
kid, we didn't want to see the fitness coach because we knew, oh, he's gonna kill
Well,
us.
I mean,
And
it's a
I
little bit
guess Novak
changed,
is
let's
happy,
say,
right, to see
but
you.
you are right. When I started, I mean, 35 years ago it was like this. I mean, people came to the club to play tennis. I mean, the kids they were a little bit bored, but now they are aware that is important. So basically, they accept it very well. I mean, they know that they have to go through. So it changed a little bit the mentality. That was the big step forward that tennis athlete made, actually. You know.
Yeah, Marco, you're coming. First of all, we have to thank
Yeah,
Eduardo
Eduardo is
Infantino,
my
our
brother. I
mutual
mean,
friend. He
fantastic
made this
person. Yeah, yeah.
possible.
Very happy to. I crossed his life really long, long time ago. He just came in Italy. At that time, he was working with Stefano Pescosolido, former Italian player. And I met him first time there in the club where I was used to work. And then from that moment, we will be always in contact because then he worked for a long time for Italian Federation, but also with athletes. So we worked together with some same athletes, same players. So yeah, we grew up together. I mean, I consider him kind of my mentor too. So very nice to be in contact. Yeah, fantastic person.
Wow. Yeah, great guy. I probably am going to see
Well,
him
you know, we are
in
still
Indian
waiting
Wells.
that
Are you coming to the Olympics?
they give us the permission to come because still, you know, not vaccinated people can come.
Ah,
We are
okay.
hoping, of course, because we would like to go, and we need to accept the decision. So we, at the moment, we are getting ready, and then we will see.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're coming from a athletic background, right? You were a track and field athlete. So it's tell us, I want to learn from you because
Yeah.
I love to learn from people, childhood, teenagers time. So what was your dream to be an Olympic athlete?
Well, basically,
How far
my
you went
dream
with your
was
career?
to be the fastest man in the world. When I was kid, for me, this was, you know, the the super dream, let's say. So that's the reason why I start to basically track and field. So because I mean I really I mean I was very hyperactive kids. I remember that. So I was always running, jumping. I really love to make my body moving, and track and field was the natural, let's say, kind of path to follow to satisfy these wish of movements. My parents, my father, that was kind of a manager of one group in track and field, was always, I mean, brought me there on the track, and from that moment, I was in love with the sport, and that I think was a really good. Most of my colleagues came from track and field. I mean, at that age, we were basically probably a little bit more aware. How to train the body, what is going on from the metabolic point of view, because track and field push you to understand what is going on a little bit more. You are basically the teacher of your own body, and this make the mentality a little bit more, looking forward. If I do this, what happen? If I do these things, what happen? And then I was lucky because I mean, at that age, the best one, the only way to make some money in order to I would say, be devoted to the sport was to go into this military sport group. You were being paid as a policeman, basically, but then there was the sport group. You were just there making the training every day and compete for this police group. And that was kind of an elite at that time as a coach and people that were working with us. And I have to thanks them because I mean, basically, what they just put the seeds on my mind, how to teach, how to exchange with other people next to you, ideas or training method. So that's what's very nice.
Wow, what a interesting story. Marco, why tennis? First of all, people from all over the world watching you, Chai Marco, from
Thanks to
Poland,
everybody.
Italy,
Say
all
hi
over
to
the world.
everybody.
Yeah, they yeah. So why
Well, when I was
tennis
kid,
and how
basically
tennis came to your
tennis
life?
was kind of a boom in Italy, thanks to we won the Davis Cup in the '76. and also Adriano Panatta won Rome tournament, and and Roland Garros in the same year. So basically, this was a big, let's say, resonance of interest in Italy, and I mean, I was always in love. I remember I was 14 when happened this, and I asked to my father to wake me up in the middle of the night because Italy was playing against Chile in the final in Chile. So there was the jet lag, of course. I mean, it was night in Italy, and I remember that my father at that time put this little monitor, you know, in the '76 with the antenna, these two sticks like antenna to try to catch the signal, and it just woke me up in the middle of the night. It was
Yeah.
love at the first sight, and what happened when I was again when I was an athlete, I was 18 actually, so that's where I started. I was an athlete at 18, 19, something like that, and basically another coach that was involved in track and field. He was working already as a fitness coach in tennis, and he asked me, why you don't come with me because you like tennis, I mean, to work with the kids and everything. So everything started like this. I was 19. And I didn't thinking about more than 1 second. I say to him, yes, of course, I like it. Let's go. Let's see what is going on. So I try to apply my concept in tennis. And of course, if I remember now these things, I shame on me a little bit because I mean, it was very old concept at the time. But again, at that time, it was a little bit maybe forward because in tennis there was not basically fitness coach. You know, there is no fitness applied to the tennis, and everything started like this.
Exactly. Wow, what a incredible! I love the way you. How do you deal with interviews? Because so many people, you know, they have so many things to share, but they don't want to
Well, I
consider
feel that,
interviews.
I mean,
How do you feel about
I really
interviews?
love the sport in general and tennis in particular. So for me, it's just talking about the experiences. So it's not an interview. Simple like this. Like I always used to say that I'm glad that I'm never working my life because this is a passion. So basically, interview is a part of this. So
Fantastic. I want to ask you this question about football, calcio, soccer, like in USA said, and tennis. Listening to the soccer players, football players and football coaches, they said the training in the last probably, I don't know, 10 years, they're using more the ball, the football, even in the preseason than before. Before they used to run long distance, go to the sun, go to the mountains. Anyways, then they, after probably 2 weeks, they start playing with the ball. Everybody says that is the biggest
yeah.
change in football, in the training. What was the biggest change in tennis that you have seen on the court? When you see the tennis coaches, have you seen any
Well,
big
absolutely
changes in the
yes.
training
As
or
I told you
not?
before, if I think I was what I was doing with my, I don't want to talk that much far away, but already 15, 20 years ago, it's totally changed everything. I mean, the schedule that before, I remember that before we had kind of our preseason was almost 1 month and a half, 2 months. Now it's impossible to think something like that. Now, professional player, anyway, when I say professional player, I say people that wants to play professionally. We have maybe 4 weeks, you know, 5 weeks, let's say, if you want to exaggerate. So that's it. It's changed already all the plans and the way to train. I mean, we don't have this long period that you can work and work and work, and then they go to play right away after 3 or 4 weeks. And then you have during the season, you have other time that you stop and maybe you make another, let's say, micro cycle, for example, of or you know of preparation. We go back to what you were saying. I mean about the soccer. I mean we are always playing tennis. There is no long time that you don't play tennis. And basically, I think that also this is very it's very helpful because I mean we don't need to forget that um, for professional players in general, in tennis player in particularly, I mean we need to always how you say put in the first place the specific training. You know, um, I mean to give too much time without making specific stuff is not very well because then you have to again go into the flow one more time and it takes time. You know, so as I told you before, the calendar how is structured now. I mean, you cannot allow you are not allowed to lose that much time. Plus, thanks God, and this I always underline this. The new technology help us a lot to made to minimize the mistakes that you can make with your player because we have the possibility to monitoring them very very well, to monitoring some things that before was almost impossible. It was just let's say demanding to your kind of how you say to your talent to understand what is going on. But now we can really, for example, I mean, I'm just jumping in my mind, we can monitoring the internal load of our player that before was impossible to understand. So external load, we know which one is. Internal load, sometimes we are struggling a little bit. Now we can monitoring that. So that's make much easier for us. Make much easier for us, to train specific movement because we have some machine that give us data back. I'm not that fanatic of data, but the combination of the knowledge and the data is very important to understand exactly what is going on to our player, and don't make mistake at all. So, and this change completely the way to approach the training plan for our player.
Marco, I want to ask you normal, simple questions now that every coach, trainer, father, mother, player wants to know. I want to make sure people understands this wonderful talk. What are the most important qualities, tennis, physical qualities, attributes, to make to the top? What would you say are in tennis, you say you have to have all the shots, the tactics, right? As a coach, that's the most important thing. But as from the physical, the most important physical
Daniel,
skills.
just ask me something that we could talk for hours or something like that. But I, yeah. No.
Let's go.
Okay.
I have the water
here. I always used to say that tennis player, it's to make like a parallel with the track and field, have to be a kind of decathlete, that the one that make decathlon, which is these 10 different specialities. You have to be good in everything. You have to be resistant. You have to be, how you say, explosive. You have to be fast. You have to be coordinative. You have to be very, with a lot of very huge motoric skill baggage, for example, because you have multidiscipline in decathlon. Tennis player is exactly the same. You have to be able, if we talk about genetics, something like this, more of this information you have, or more you are the right attitude to develop this information, and better for sure you can succeed on tennis. Because if you are only extremely resistant, just for example, as a tennis player, maybe you're going to miss that part of the game, which is a little bit more, let's say, explosive orientated, But if your fibers are only to the explosive, let's say, you are only the kind of fibers, the fast fibers in the muscle, then maybe you are struggling a little bit to be also resistant. So, it's a combination on everything. And my guy, for example, is the perfect example of this. I mean, he's resistant, he's fast, he's coordinative, he's very flexible, and most of the things, of course, have to be under the control of the brain, which is the right mentality, the right attitude that push you to maximize your body potential, of course.
Goran Ivanisevic, in the press conference after the Australian Open, made me laugh when he said,
That's
Novak
true.
has his brain is from another planet.
Yeah.
He thinks different. It's hard to explain. How do you tell us? Because
Well,
what do you think he was trying to
he
say?
said exactly what all the team think. I mean, it's. Um, I'm used to say that these big guys, not only him, of course, also the other, the big guys are genetically modified because, I mean, are something different to the other. I mean, they are able to be to don't feel the pressure in the way that they like to be under pressure. So they don't lose the focus. Actually, they feel comfortable in that moment. Like they are, like they are, let's say, in their own garden. So for the other players, maybe in the crucial moment, they start the emotions start to have a kind of an eruption of emotion that can trigger the body too. For them, it's normal to be something like that, and also this is something that you can train. And Nole and the other guys are very in other level about this. They are emotionally, they can manage the emotion in order to make focus and do the right things in the right moment. That's basically the big, for me, is the biggest difference that there is the big athletes in general compared to the other huge athletes, but they are not like God, let's say, what you are used to say now.
Motivation, because the word motivation is all over the place. Are these guys, Marcos, self-motivated, these champions in general, or you have to, or you have to motivate them sometimes? I don't know. I mean, these guys are Messi, Ronaldo,
Yeah,
Novak, Rafa,
both of them,
self-motivated.
whatever you are saying is right. I mean, both the opinion are right. I mean, they are unbelievable, self-motivating. They are always trying to do something better and better. Imagine these people as 36, 37, 40 years old. Imagine for how long they did it and how much they are set it up in order to do it, something like that. But of course, also our job is to try to also help them in this, in this motivation. Because again, for example, my strategy with with Nole is exactly this one. I mean, we are trying always to do something different because he needs to be always challenged in some way. I try to avoid, but this in general with all my athletes, also in the past. I mean, I try to avoid this automatism that can sometimes they can do it automatically and not really thinking what is going on. I like that my player is always, from the cognitive point of view, always stimulated by the motivation point of view. I mean, that's very important because this is the things that push you to work hard day by day. So, and that's exactly these people like Nolan, that the big guy, are able to do every day. For them is like a little challenge to win. So that's how they go then on court, ready to fight until the last point, because that's how they create their kind of mentality. They create the mentality outside the court and then they bring it in the court.
And Marco, you
No, no,
travel
no.
to all the
I'm
tournaments or
traveling.
some
I'm
tournaments
traveling all the tournaments.
with
I mean,
Novak?
now for my personal reason, I didn't go to Australia, but I always go. But I think it's the only way to do this kind of job in this level. I mean, I don't believe that you can go around just 10 weeks or 12 weeks. I mean, it's a constantly exchange of information between coaches, team, I'm saying, and player. I mean, there is this paradox in tennis. Is a let's say, is a solitary sport. I mean, a lone sport, because of course players go alone, but in the end, is one of the biggest team effort, around. Because also when they are on court, there is continuous this exchange with the team that can help a lot. Of course, our player when they are alone there inside the stadium with 35,000 spectators with the final of one big event. So that's for me is the only way, because I need to see my player, what he's doing, how he's moving. I can understand when you know, well, your others, of course, what he needs. And we can talk after the match about that to fix some things and in order to give more, let's say, arrows in his bow, in order to have more solution, to make more him quiet in the mind the next time he goes on court. And there is no other way. That's why I always been on court on practice with all the coaches that I'm working with, and I want also that actually the coach come into the gym or come into the fitness session, because this is the only way to make the real connection, because to understand what is going on always, So that's something that Goran Ivanisevic, Marian Vaida also before with Nole, they always did it to me, and the physio also, they are always with us. The manager, they are always with us, whatever we are doing.
And you guys,
yeah.
want to hang around together for dinner, lunch in general? Or
yeah.
how is that?
It
People
became
love to know that.
definitely a family, So then, of course, sometimes you go with other friends. Sometimes, if there is the family of our players, of course, they stay with the family, if they are married or not. But of course, we spend so much time together. But and that's why this is also the reason why, for me, for example, it's very important to work with somebody that I feel comfortable, because in the end I spend more time with them with my family, and it's the only way to create a good connection. Which is not only talking about tennis. Most of the time it's talking about the life in general. So I don't want to be arrogant, say that we have the due also to be educator to our player, and not only teacher, let's say. We learn, because I'm white beard, I'm pretty old and I have a lot of experience on my shoulder, and I make a lot of mistakes. So I try my players, which I consider my little brother too, don't make the same mistakes that I made through my experience. So it's kind of a little bit, general relationship that have to be carry on.
Talking to the coaches, the young fitness coaches, what is the biggest mistake that you have a lot of experience, you have the right to talk, you have the authority, the titles, the reputation. What will be the biggest mistake that they could do training tennis players?
Tell you that I don't want to generalize, but I see my colleagues, they are very good, for example, in what concern the kind of rehab exercise. They are very good in what concerns some sector of our job, which could be the strength or something like this. But I think that we don't need to forget one specific thing. The athleticism is the most important thing. When I talk about athleticism, talking about we need to make our player used to move and to be very well trained from the proprioceptive point of view, for the motoric skill point of view, because a situational sport like tennis, that's what required, you have to always find solution to, in order to adapt your body to hit the ball with this kind of movement. We don't have we ever have the same ball, two balls similar in the sport. There will be always something different. So except maybe the serve, but anyway, also there can change condition, wind or sun, whatever. So you have to always find the solution. That's the reason I think that sometimes my colleagues, what I'm saying now, for example, in the last period of the life, they are too much specific on something, and they forgot to make our player run and moving. So that's very important for me. To sometimes to also to myself. Sometimes I'm doing the right things. I make him move enough to be ready on court? That's always the question that I make myself.
Great, very clear. You talk about mental toughness and how the big players manage the emotions and give advice to junior players now. How can they improve this, Marco? To become mentally tougher. Now? Talk to the junior players listening, parents. I know some parents listening. How can you improve
Yes,
that?
of
Just
course.
with
I
a
mean,
sports
this new,
psychologist?
let's say, uh, part of the team, which is a mental coach or psychologist, sports psychologist, help us a lot. I mean, it's very, very a lot. But I think is also this one is a training. There is no maybe one or two session or some magic word that can make can click your mind, that can change the mentality, your attitude, something like this. Has to be basically also developed when the young players are really young, which means, for example, stimulate with through games, also outside the court. I mean, the competitivity, for example, and the wish to win. Somebody has it a little bit more natural. Somebody has to be pushed a little bit more there. But I mean, for me, is the key. It's exactly the also the staff around, which is the fitness coach, the tennis coach, whoever. I mean, of course, then the mental coach is the one that has more, let's say, heavy voice that field. But when I personally, when I work with the young players, I really take care of their feedback in whatever we are doing, because I want to push them to be very aware what is going on. This is, for me, is the first step to be competitive and to be with the right discipline what you are doing. Because if you understand which one is the path, then you can follow the path. Sometimes our players are not aware what they are doing and why they are doing that. And and this maybe they are just, how you say, living day by day, whatever is coming or not, without any mental, let's say, path to follow, and why we are doing this, where we're gonna arrive, which one is the goal. So that's our due, especially with a young guy, sorry, to develop this kind of mentality. Is again is a long procedure. You have to understand very well how is working the brain, the mind of our kids. I mean, maybe some have to be pushed a little bit more, some have to be pleased a little bit more on the way. But again, for me, the key is the good relationship in order to have feedback, give feedback, and receive feedback from them. This kind of talk, daily talk, without, of course, stress them too much, but make them aware since they are young why we are doing something. I mean, and the biggest guy, when I had the luck to work with the biggest player, they are already a little bit naturally like this. They are always asking why we are doing this, why last time we did something like that, why now we are doing that. And that's very important that the teacher explain very well. So, I mean, I don't like, I always use this this sentence. I don't like joystick. I want aware. I don't want just maneuver my player, do this and do that, and I don't want that he just follow something like that. I mean, of course he has to follow because maybe we are a little bit more experienced, but at the same time, I want that he understand why we are doing that, because
Is
I mean,
Novak asking you a lot?
sometimes
Novak
I
is
have a
curious
headache about that
about every
because he's always
exercise?
asking everything. Why we are doing this? He's pushing. He's very committed to what he's doing. I mean, and that's the
Right.
beauty when you are working relationship with someone, because I mean, this is the real work. I mean, more than the jump and run, of course. And together we try to find out which is the best for him, and that's our goal basically. I don't want player depending from me. I want player that depended by themselves, where I can help them. So it's a huge difference.
Marco, in the past, I remember the coach, tennis coach, work on the court, and the fitness coach in the gym. They say just hi to each other, and that's it.
Yeah.
In the last few years, we see more often both visiting each other's, office. So, how important is that? The fitness coach watching the player training and vice
This is
versa. The tennis
simple
coach
the
watching the
conditio sine
player
qua
in
non to
fitness.
succeed. I mean, simple like this. Imagine a Formula One car that there is the, the team deputy to the engine, the power engine, the aerodynamic, the brakes and everything, and they don't talk each other. They just do their work and then put on the car and see what is going on. I mean, that's the most important thing. Because I had to understand what the coach is asking to the player. If I don't know, for example, if they want that they return in open stance, what is going on? If they have the grip a little bit more continental or Western, so we need to try to understand. I had to try to understand. I don't play tennis, but often I'm on court, try to feel on myself what is going on some shot, of course. So then I will be able to understand what I need to do. But at the same time, that's why I want also the tennis coach with me on the gym, because I want that they understand what is going on in one body if we give some load to the body. Because, for example, until now, coaches are based on their experience, on their knowledge, but they don't know that much what is going on the body from the energetic point of view. For example, if they start to make left and right, left and right, left and right, okay, they understand that they're going to be tired, but they don't know exactly from the physiological point of view what is going on. So this cross of, how you say, of information that you take on court and you take off court make totally the work done. That's the difference.
What is the most important contribution that you have seen from Goran Ivanisevic, great champion, Wimbledon champion, to Mr. Novak
Goran
Djokovic?
is first of all, he's a fantastic guy. I don't say this because you mentioned him. That's I mean, I knew him since a long time. I know that he's like this. What he did great, and what he did great also with other players that he was working with. Goran already been there, so he knows exactly on top of the forehand, the back, and of course the tactics. That's his knowledge. But as a person, everybody know him like a little bit crazy horse, so like a little bit crazy sometime on court. But on purpose for this, he knows exactly what is going on in the Nole mind, for example, in that moment, because he went through already there. So he knows how to say the right word in the right moment. He's not a guy that is talking that much, He say very few words, but when he says some things, he's very straight and you recognize right away the authority when he says something. That's, I think, is the main reason of this super coach, It's kind of exactly the why they show you the way, because he already been there. So how he managed the final of Wimbledon, how he managed to, to this big achievement that they did. Goran was number 2 in the world. I mean, he was, he played everything. He played the slam. He played the finals. So whoever, and he knows how to what is going on the mind in the player. He knows what to say in order to trick sometimes the mind of our player and to think about don't overthinking. And especially a person like him, that he worked a lot on himself when he was a player, can help Nole, can help other players.
I remember when Goran played, he said,
Yeah.
I have the
It's
good
true,
Goran
true.
and the
Now,
bad
thanks
Goran.
God,
I remember that. So now he can explain Nole, right?
exactly,
Which side
exactly. No, but Nole knows.
is
But
better
anyway,
to
it's
have.
important that when you are there, that the people that you can look, he can
Yeah.
look at us, especially to Goran, knowing that he knows what what is feeling Nole in that moment on the court, and that is also a big help, because players can be more quiet, because they feel assisted by the team, in all the ways. Helped.
Marco, especially in knowledge age, the prevention and rehab after and before are more
It's
important than
important
the workout per
everything,
se?
but of course, I mean, like you said, I mean, we are constantly working to preview and to let's say to make to recover after long match, something like that. That's it became probably one of the most important part of the of the athlete tennis player life. So that can make a huge difference, especially with people that has a lot of kilometers in the engine, because they play a lot, they play for a long time. It's more and more important. I mean, it's important for everybody, but thanks God, it's no more like this just 3 minutes bike and that's it. Now, for example, the cool down and the recovering, but there are protocols and things that can really make the difference. So it's a very important part.
Marco, I remember when I played, actually when I started coaching, the coach told me, run after the match 10 minutes to eliminate the lactic acid. Is that true or
No,
is
no.
that
Allora, in
fantasy?
order the acid lactic is basically after a very short time is already, I mean, gone. I mean, we don't have it anymore. I mean, but of course the cool down and bikes or jogging is very important. But not only that, of course. I mean, there are so many other stuff to do. For example, all the players now, they have physio with them. So they make a lot of, recovering manual therapy or also physical therapy sometimes. So that's, again, as I told you before, it's the most important part because especially tennis players, they have to play the day after, and then the day after, if they keep winning, then the tournament after. So the time to recover is very, very short every time, more and more. Um, and that is it's not like, for example, soccer player. Of course, they have, but they know when they play and when they don't play. They can planning a little bit more. But here we are playing sometimes we finish to play, like happened so many times, late in the night, and the day after you have to play. So basically, sometimes we finish at 3 or 4 in the morning, finish all the recovering stuff, for example. And this is again another. This big guy, they don't care. Most of the other players can say, okay, I'm tired, I want to go to sleep now. But they know that they have to do those things. And they keep doing till the end. So motivation, mentality, discipline make the difference in the hand,
Marco, what are the most important things that a trainer, fitness coach working with 12 and under kids, they should consider when training kids, fitness coaches? Give us your thoughts about it.
For
So
me,
many coaches are
at that
listening to you
age,
right now,
we
tennis
need to
coaches and
just,
fitness coaches.
be very sharp on develop some, basically some skills that they have to be developed, especially in that age. And I'm talking about motoric baggage, make bigger possible the motoric skills baggage, because that's the most important thing. Because what happened the last 10, I mean, maybe a little bit more, 20 years until now. I remember a long time ago when I started to work, players arrived to me with a lot of motoric skills. They were very coordinated. They were very already able to manage the body and the space from the proprioceptive point of view, for example. Why this? Because they were always playing in the street, on the school. They had a lot of possibility to play when we were kids. Slowly, it was not more possible, you know better than me, to go to play in under your apartment or building or whatever with other kids, because now it's no more time to do something like that. So in order to make sport, parents bring to, I don't know, whatever, to soccer, to tennis, to basketball, whatever, and the players start to be specialized in that kind of movement only, and they lost a little bit this possibility to make bigger this baggage, motoric skill baggage. So my suggestion is the fitness coach that are working on tennis in the clubs or whatever is to push them more than, of course, the other that is a consequence, as example, stamina or whatever it could be, to really take care of make them play in a competitive way, try to make them move in the more possible ways to solve problem with the body, to jump, to go under, to be precise when you jump, to throw in a specific way, some things. I mean, to make them really a little bit, not to specialize too much in the special steps that they're going to make on court. They're going to make it there. They're going to arrive to the point to be very, very able to move. Excellent. But in that age, we need to try to push them to become 360 degrees movement athletes. So, and then we can let's say specify them. I you say in English to make them in the specific, to make good in the specific movement.
And what age the kids should go to the gym to start a weight program lifting, because that has been another big issue. I heard when I started, you have to be 13,
we need to
14 to start lifting weights.
we need to be aware as a fitness coach what kind of kids we have. There are some that develop a little bit more before, some a little bit more there. There is one age that is not depending from the anagraphic age. It depends on how they develop. That is important. When I say this, I always that's my personal opinion. Of course, I don't want to say that I do always like this. But my personal opinion, there is time to make to load with weights our young players. I mean, we can do a lot of strength exercise with the body weight. We can a lot of strength exercise in a monopodalic, for example, stance. We can do, we can try to play in so many different ways to make strength, to increase the strength of our player. There is always time also there to put a little bit more the load and everything. Saying this, sometimes I had kids that they were 15, 16 years old. They were already done as a body. In that case, increasing slowly, you can start to put some load in. So again, the suggestion is don't generalize, but it's better to go a little bit more slow in order to put slow in a way to wait a little bit more time to put weight on the body than anticipate too much.
Plyometrics, and I want to ask you this as a coach, because I see so many videos on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, when you see the tennis coaches putting cones on the court, having the kids jumping back and forth, and then hitting one ball, and then going back, and again, is that productive? Is it efficient? Because if they are already working with a fitness coach, tennis coaches, we should do that.
We jump back to what you were saying before. If there is good connection between tennis coach and fitness coach, of course, I mean, I know what the tennis coach wants on court, and I can do it in the gyms, something like this. Let's say also in more safety way, to prepare the athletes ready in what the tennis coach is asking there. So me personally, I agree with you, but then also there, it's tough to generalize a little bit. Maybe sometime tennis coach wants to do this to emphasize, I don't know, split step before to moving left and right. So it depends what they are doing. But generally, especially with young one, I would do it before outside the court, and then maybe to recreate the movement there on court without too much, let's say, let's say, don't go too much in the way that can happen something, maybe some little injury, let's say like this. I'm very conservative in the possibility to make my player, injured. That's, for me, is the first rule.
Yeah, it's a lot of show too. You want to impress the
Could be,
parents
yeah, you're
with all
right.
the colorful stuff on the court. Yeah, sometimes I see more than show than effectiveness. What age you recommend to start the plyometric
Daniel, you are
training
doing
for
some
kids?
question that is is very. I mean, again, we go back to what I was saying before. I mean, we have different ages. One is the anagraphic age, But if I see if my player is able to jump without, for example, technically make some huge mistake like valgus in the knee or too much load in the lower back, or don't be able to react after the drop jump, for example. That's something that we need to take care. That's why we need somebody that knows what is going on from the postural point of view, from the strength point of view, from the coordination point of view, because if the players have to adapt to match the movement and is doing everything except the jump, but is maybe pulling on, or twisting or go too much in a pronation when he lands, something like that, then the player is not ready to do it. There is no one age that we can say from as soon as he turns 15, he can do it. I mean, have to be very, how you say, progressive to bring our player to do some things. But the most important things is how he managed that kind of movement. If he's able to manage well from a postural point of view, as I told you, then we can try to do it, and also we can try slowly to increase the load, and maybe to increase, I don't know, the height of the jump, something like that. Plyometry is very important kind of stimulus that we give to our, motoric system, which is very important, but is very also can be a little bit invasive if our player is not ready. That's why is a connection between the physio, the fitness coach, and the coach to understand if he's able to do it or not.
And do you recommend every junior player to carry the elastic band in the tennis bag to do the warm-up before
all the little routine that help us,
Okay.
to avoid injury and to get ready, to get ready with to make this effort when we're going to play, have to be done. It have to be done for several reasons. As I told you, to be ready, to avoid to get injury, for example, but also mentally is very important because this kind of routine then give you, again, the time to think what you're doing, give you the discipline to do something, give you the possibility to understand why we are making internal rotation, external rotation, for example, in the shoulder, why our shoulder is working, why then we need to do something, why we do, for example, this kind of movement on the serve, because our shoulder is moving in a certain way. We have to understand what does it mean if we have the scapula, for example, not really well positioned in our back shoulder. And we go back to what we were saying in the beginning. I mean, we need to make them aware what is going on. So the routine is a very important part of this development, let's say, of the mentality.
Great, awesome. So
ready, of course.
You have 5 more
minutes? Yeah, for sure, whatever you want.
Do you have 5 more minutes? Thank you, thank you. I hope you're having a good
No,
time because I'm learning.
you are a very good teacher.
I want to learn also. I'm still learning. What is? Tell me. Thank you. Let me ask you, please, without going through details, people from Argentina. Hi, everybody saying from Argentina to you. I know you told me no details about the training. I know that. I don't want to go through any detail. But what is the biggest virtue that you will say Novak has from the physical standpoint and from the mental standpoint? The biggest virtue you will say, this is incredible for this
Well,
guy.
we
Out
actually
of
we
this
already said
world.
it. I mean, we said it. I mean, it's the capacity to be focused always in whatever he does, and whatever he does means that even though when he's doing something very far from tennis, he knows that he can do something like that because he's helping also on tennis field. So he's always, let's say, thinking what it can help him to be better player, better person. And physical point of view, I would say probably coordination skill. Yeah, on top on top of all the other, of course, which is already high level and everything. But
Perfect.
this maybe a little bit more than the other.
I don't know if I ask you this, but how many years
Well,
already
as I
in the
told you, I
professional tour?
started, I was 19, let's say, when I was around 22, 23, I was already in the world, going around the world. Now I'm 60, so let's say 38 years, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Wow, what an
Too much, maybe.
experience. It's tremendous, tremendous. Final question about training is no more long distance running in tennis because I remember when I started 10K, you have to run and then you get the aerobic first
Yes.
and then that
Well,
was
for tennis,
the
we
old
have told you, of
training.
course. Yeah. Well, no, thanks God again. I mean,
Yes,
the
yes, yes, yes.
scientific evidence or something like this already give us a lot of, a lot of evidence that we can develop aerobic system and aerobic system also in different ways. I mean, it's not only, going, running steady state. I mean, which is very same pace for a long time, which is one way, of course, but we can do it in much better ways without maybe having the side effect to run longer for a long time, and but again, this is another thing that knowledge, understand how it's working, but also knowledge about how the brain of our player are working. For example, some of my players, they really enjoy to take the bike and make, for example, long run with the bike or long run. It's kind of meditation for some of them. I'm not against, but of course I've not trained only that, because it's a little bit far from what we need. But sometimes it's very like swimming, like something like this. I mean, we need to balance what is good for the mind and what is good for the body. I mean, if there are more, effective to the body to go to the mind running, sometimes longer, which is very nice. Sometimes I do with my player. Of course, I bike behind them, and we go. We keep talking. We don't realize we run and we do it. And most of the time, I'm not using that kind of, let's say, plan in order to increase also the aerobic system. So there are other things to do. For example, like high intensity interval training. So we work all the system together, aerobic, anaerobic, lactacid, and alactacid, which is more or less more specific what happened on court, for example.
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
So it's a combination, like you said, of everything, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think coaches, tennis
Absolutely.
coaches should have more knowledge now than before because remember, and vice versa, and you too, because as I told you before, in the past, the fitness coach will take care of that.
No,
And
no,
you
it's
don't
true.
know
It's true.
anything. I don't know
You are right.
anything about training.
You're right. As I
So,
told you, I
so,
mean,
and
also for us, it's the
coaches,
same. We need to
yeah,
know what tennis is,
yeah.
not because we want to play tennis. Personally, I don't want to play tennis, but I mean, I wish, but I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it because I need to understand what they're asking, and I need to be able to make my player, able to do this kind of request from the coach. So we need to know tennis, and tennis coach have to know about fitness.
But and I'm just guessing. It's a conversation. It's not an interview. your motivation, personal motivation after training probably one of the greatest athletes in the history of the sport. What else after that? Because I don't know
Or
if
maybe
you're
I
still
keep
going to be
training him and
motivated
he
to
will
coach
play until
somebody else.
45, and then I will be too old to.
Who knows?
No, I mean,
Maybe he
listen,
established a record, sure.
again, this is a passion. So, and whoever is a challenge also for me is extra motivation to work. Whoever I can work with, with our play. Of course, after work with probably one of the biggest athletes ever, it will be maybe not that much easier to replace the same results and the same concept. But this doesn't change what is pushing me. It's pushing me to try to take out the best from every player, every potential. That's exactly what I'm trying to do since I started with myself before when I was an athlete, and with all the players that I'm working with. Yeah.
You really enjoy traveling besides that, because I heard so many sports athletes and coaches said I hate to fly, I hate flights, I'm so scared of
No, no, no,
flying.
no. I like to fly.
How do
I
you
like
deal
to
with
go. I
flights?
miss
You
when
like
I'm
flights?
I'm not on the tournament, because I miss this kind of adrenaline, that are there. I miss the fact that matches for me is like confirmation if we work well or not. It's kind of test exam, and I miss really this feeling. Okay, he's moving well now. Maybe we need to try to do this because you see. So it's continuous, something like a university, and I love these things. And also because, I mean, I stopped, let's say, to be athlete because I broke my knee, and this probably cut a little bit at that age when you broke the ligament. I mean, a cross ligament. I mean, there was not a possibility to recover, and this probably is the one that is keep firing me in order to compete. Because I couldn't finish to compete by myself. So I need to find the way to transmit to send to my player that, hey, we need to do something more in order to prevent injury, in order to compete, to have more possibility to compete longer, to really realize your dream. That's probably, I don't want to sound too much romantic, but that's what happened to me. I mean, that's what I feel, basically.
No, fantastic. What do you enjoy doing besides? What do you like to do aside of your training, your job? What do
Yeah,
you like to read? You listen
that's for
music,
sure. I
walking?
love
What do
all the
you
sport,
watching
but
another sport?
I mean, I always be very lucky that I had a lot of passions in my life. So that's basically bring me, a little bit, how you say, to explore everything. I like the sea in general. So I have a little boat where I really spend time, not that much as I wish, but uh, spend time on my spare time, let's say. I love to play golf. I love to, I mean, I'm lucky because most of the time when I'm free, I'm in Rome, and there is always something to see, to watch, something like that. I, yeah, I mean, and also the fact that I'm always in contact with young people, much younger than me, give me probably this because I saw them very active, and I'm still thinking that maybe I'm 35, 40 as a mentality, so I want to do always something. This is a big mutual help. I take from tennis, I take from my player this help,
Exactly.
let's say.
And
My
last
pleasure.
question, Marco, and thank you so much for your time. It was fantastic. It was an amazing time. I'm going to upload the interview in my YouTube channel later. So everybody will have 42 countries, the possibility to learn from you and listening. The last question, which athlete from any other sport or maybe tennis has impressed you the most? You said, oh, that guy is amazing. He's a beast. He's
Oh
which,
yeah, there are
or maybe
definitely more
more
than
than
one. I
one.
mean, well, mm, let's say searching in my memory for sure, Carl Lewis. because for me was my idol, because at the time I was still involved in track and field, and I was long jumper, and he was long jumper, but he was also unbelievable sprinter. He was one of the beautiful athletes in terms of movement, of biomechanics, movement, and everything. For sure, Michael Jordan. For sure, I mean, LeBron James, for example, now. I mean, there are so many. I mean, I'm pretty amazed, all the people that has this combination of talent and hard work. I mean, this really is something that trigger my my fantasy, and I feel completely kidnapped when I saw them in the TV or live. I have the luck to have to see so many of these big athletes very live. So it's amazing, yeah.
Well, this is the last one for sure. If you have to recommend a movie to your athlete, the player that you are coaching, training, which movie to motivate him or her you
Well,
would recommend to
we can
watch?
start with something, let's say, a little bit more maybe commercial, like Gladiator, for example, so because I was talking about Roman Empire, and I'm pretty sensitive on this, and but there are so many. I mean, I really think that, for example, Matrix, on top of the huge effect, unbelievable effect that it has. The story of Matrix is basically is a very kind of paradigm of athlete story. I mean, Matrix, he started like a normal person that was working in a bank. I mean, he was normal person, and then he became an hero. And this journey from normal person to hero is exactly what happened to the player. From normal person, they became an hero, which means when I say hero, I don't just mean people that became a huge athlete or something like this, but the one that are able to express their potential. And the Matrix is exactly the paradigm of what is going on with all the stage that our, let's say, athlete can do. It is important that athletes became aware that they had to make a decision, they had to go out of comfort zone, like the protagonist of Matrix did, and to win the fear to do some things, and to become then an hero with the help of some mentors, for example. Before we were talking about that, is unbelievable to see, and it's important to see also for the team, because also the team have to be aware in which stage of evolution our athletes are. So in order to communicate in the right way, because you cannot talk with the kids in the same way you are talking with the, let's say, hero already, So that's very, I think, I suggest Matrix, for example, for this. Mm.
Nice. And if you have to describe Novak as a
Yeah,
superhero, let's say for the kids listening, they love this.
it is.
For the kids, these guys are superheroes. Uh, which one Novak will be according to you? Batman, Superman, Hulk? Which one, Novak?
Well,
All of them?
no, I don't know.
Captain
I mean, I
America,
can tell you that he is in
Thor.
the stage that is ready soon to give his legacy back. So whoever is achieved, I see that he's already a coach, I would say, because he's always ready to give advice to everybody. I mean, he's an unbelievable human person. And this I say no, because I'm working with him. I didn't know he was like this. I know that he was a very good person, but now that I have the luck to be a little bit more with him, I really see how he, for example, young player in the academy there in Belgrade, whoever is playing. I mean, he's always ready to give advices, to share experience that he has. Not that much player can do something like that. So he's already oriented like if we want to take again Matrix as a as a the hero journey, he's already in the hand of this parabola, which is ready to go back in the, let's say, in the known world, the normal world, to become mentor of somebody else. And no, I don't know
So you
if
see
you would
him
like.
coaching
We
in the
never
future?
talked about this. I mean, I don't know if you would like to travel or to do something like this, but I could say that he is a coach already inside.
Yeah,
He's coach of himself,
yeah,
of course, a long time, but his coach also is able to communicate
yeah,
and
yeah.
to
I
try to
understand.
be kind of an example and I told you, a mentor for everybody. He likes to do something like that. Then I don't know if he will do it. I mean, for all the life after this traveling so many times, probably want to be more with the family instead to keep traveling. At least my opinion. I don't know.
How about if the
Ah,
if the
yeah.
kids play
That case, he
tennis
will be
and want
forced
him to
for
be the
sure to
coach?
travel. Well, it will be. Why
And
not? It will be an honor.
you
Why
would be
not?
the
Of
fitness
course.
coach, I guess. Oh, of course.
Well, I tell
So we
you
have
for sure.
Marco for the
Until I
next
will
20
have the
years.
power and I will be not ridiculous to go around, maybe with Pampers or or something like that. I will be. I will be on tour for sure. I like it. I mean, cannot think to stop.
Marco, thank you
Thanks to
so
you. Thanks
much.
to
I
you, Daniel.
had
It
an
was my
amazing
big
time
pleasure.
and I learned a lot.
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
hope
Absolutely.
you feel
Whatever.
you felt
Whenever you want.
comfortable.
I mean, I will be more than happy. Absolutely.
Let's stay in touch, and I hope give a hug each other
Of course. I'm
and
Italian.
drinking.
I mean,
You like coffee? You like to drink coffee?
we will share. No sugar.
Sugar or no sugar? Yeah, the
Ciao.
same. Yeah.
Ciao. Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care. Ciao. The
We
best of luck to the
will
whole
meet. We'll meet.
team.
Maybe in
They
India
don't
Wells.
know
Maybe
me,
in
but
India Wells. We'll see.
I send them a big hug to the team. Okay,
Allora
if you are,
we
of
make
course,
it
I
happen.
live two
Happen for
hours
sure.
from India Wells.
Ciao. Ciao.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks
everybody. Thank
everybody.